Welcome, everybody, to this next segment we're calling our Agent Heroes segment because we want to introduce you all to some of our awesome agents who make up our referral network. The main purpose of the series is to unpack the complicated, nuanced problems and challenges you might encounter during a PCS, but we also wanted to make sure that we were shining a light on the resources and services that we have here at Millie, and I am so honored to be joined by our very first Agent Hero numero uno, Heidi. I'm pretty sure you are bestowed that honor. And if you all don't recognize that last name, Ken Robbins, our CEO you heard from last week, talk about the inception of Agent Hero. If you missed that chat, please go find it. We'll link to it in the comments so you can get a little bit of the history in the background. But I'm pretty sure Miss Heidi was the impetus and the inspiration for a lot of that. So I just want to say hi, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're so welcome. So we are, well, actually, let me back up. Let me read your proper intro, Heidi. I'm so sorry. I got so excited to go ahead of myself. All right. So we are talking to Heidi, who is based in Arlington County. So we just heard from Dawn, who's in Alexandria and a scout there in Alexandria. Heidi's based in Arlington. She's a 9-year veteran of the real estate industry. She's represented clients throughout Northern Virginia. She studied interior design, as you can probably tell from her awesome wall decor. She has a BA in psychology from the University of Maine, and prior to real estate, worked in the automotive industry. Listen, if I've ever seen a milspouse resume, Heidi. She has been Rookie of the Year. She has also been recognized as an annual member of NVAR's, the Northern Virginia's Association of Realtors Top Producers Club. But more than anything, Heidi, I would love to just ask you a little bit about your path as a military spouse and what brought you to real estate and why that works. Yeah, for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first time we PCSed to DC, it was a very onerous and stressful process, as I'm sure a lot of people who are either going to face the DMV in the next couple of months or who are already here or who have been here know that it is a challenge unlike any other market. So the first time we came, I was boots on the ground here. I had several friends reach out and say, hey, can you help me find a rental? I'm looking in your neighborhood. So of course I went and did that for several families. And I thought, oh, this is really fun. I could actually get paid for this. So when we PCSed back to Germany and Ken was looking at his next assignment, I said, hey, let's go back to the DMV. And we loved it there. Our children loved it here. But why don't I get my real estate license? So while we were in Germany, I took all of the online courses, and it was about 60 hours of online learning. And so I was all ready to go when we got back to the States. All my education was taken care of. And I just took the exam and got licensed. And so I've been doing this now, like you said, 9 years. I'm entering my 10th selling season here in the DMV. And it's been so fun. It's really, I sometimes look at it as my way to give back to the military community, because I do know how many people are moving here and how stressed out that it can be. I mean, I found the move to the DMV to be way more stressful than moving to Germany. And we did that move 3 times, both, there and back. So,
right.
Yeah. So moving here to DC is unlike any other. And so I like to just be that sort of local checkpoint for people, I've got you, I've got your back. Don't stress about it. Let me stress for you. Let me help you navigate, circumvent, any problems that you run into. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, we were talking offline before we started about having clients who are you're just trying to reassure them and breathe some calm into this process. I got this, don't worry. And then you hang up, you're like, oh my God. So I love that you're brunting that, right? Because that's important. Yeah. That's important. Yeah. I say all the time, even just hiring service providers for the house, I don't need to know the problems. I'm hiring you to deal with the problems. So knowing that you've got someone who we've vetted, I mean, obviously you clearly made the cut as an agent hero, but our agent heroes are all vetted based on those priorities. We want to make sure that they're not coming to any of our families with problems, that they're coming with solutions and helping kind of navigate and head off those problems when they crop up. So being that you work in that area, this DC area, what are some of the top concerns? Some of the top things that people need to worry or think about and be prepared for, maybe? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I would say when people call me, they reach out and say, hey, we're getting orders this summer. Usually those calls start January 2nd. and they're not coming until July. And so we talk a little bit about, well, here's what you can do now. Let's talk about getting you pre-approved with a lender, although it's slightly early because lender letters are only good for about 90 days. But we just sort of talk about the things that they can start thinking about. Where do they want to live if they know the area, or what are their concerns or their priorities? And, what lifestyle do they want to live? Urban, suburban, above BAH. I have a lot of those conversations about finances, because that is the number one consideration in the DMV. Is the cost of living is quite high. So managing expectations and just sort of talking through some of those expectations on both sides, because I want to be able to help you no matter what your goals are or what you want for a home. So whether that be you purchase a home or if you would like to rent. Realtors in this area also do rentals, which is slightly unusual, I believe, because I'll talk to agents in other markets and they just don't do rentals. But most of our realtors here will do rentals, especially your military spouse veterans that are now realtors will absolutely help you find a rental.
Yeah, I was really surprised to hear that. I was on a panel with you and some other awesome realtors from the area not too long ago. I was like, wow, why are we even talking about rentals? Most agents won't even bother because, and again, it has to do with like compensation structures and things like that. But yeah, you all are like, no, we've lived that. We're gonna help. We're not gonna turn you away. We're gonna help you figure this out. So that's so great. What are some of the commonly asked questions that you get? I always love to ask anyone that I work with doing anything, like, what do I need to be asking you? Because sometimes you don't even know what you have questions about until it arises. So what do you get asked, and what should people ask when they're talking to a professional in the DC area?
I get asked most of the time, can I find something within my BAH? That seems to be the big thing this year. What can I afford? What does a commute look like? To some people, 45 minutes, you think, Ken and I are both from Maine. So 45 minutes, you could go a long way in 45 minutes. Pretty rural. Here in DC, you could live 10 miles out and it would be an hour.
Right.
So we need to really set a lot of expectations in regards to commute times, as well as what you can get for your BAH. Yeah, the traffic is no joke in the DMV. It was better during COVID, and I was like, oh, please let it stay like this. My life is so awesome. Yeah, it's back full force. The traffic patterns are back, and like you talked about in the last segment with Dawn, it definitely is a 10 to 2 window.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do your stuff. It's funny that she mentioned that, because that's what I tell all my clients. When we go out house hunting, we are only going to go between 10 and 2, because other than that, you're going to be just sitting in my car, or I'm going to, sitting on the highway waiting for the traffic. So
yeah, a 1 hour appointment quickly turns into 4.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So one thing that I know that we hear conversations about often, and that I know you can shed a little bit of light on, is do you have any tips for VA offers? Let's just put it that way. It seems like it's just gotten really complicated and such a competitive market. So could you just give us some like really broad stroke tips on military folks who are interested in using their VA loan, specifically in the DC area?
Sure. So I'm sure everybody who is listening to this knows that we are in a really boom real estate market right now, all across the country, no exception to DC. It is definitely a seller's market. And so how do you make your VA loan offer stand out? And so a lot of realtors, not just myself, other spouse realtors in the area, we all have tips and strategies on how to work around, I guess, if you call it that, the protections that the VA has put in place for service members to use that loan product actually become deterrents for their offer. So we've had to talk to legal at the National Association of Realtors, specifically the Northern Virginia chapter. I've talked to some attorneys at some of my title companies. We've worked with lenders to try to find ways to, it's not that we don't want service members to be protected using their VA loan, but those protections, again, they are hampering you from getting your offer accepted. So we're trying to find workarounds that, make your offer stand out and to be a little bit stronger. And by that, I mean, there's the appraisal condition in the VA loan. And with that contingency, it specifically says whether or not the appraisal comes in high, low, at value, you can still void the contract. And to a seller, that's an exit door that they just don't want to have. You can waive that appraisal contingency on a conventional loan. You cannot waive it on a VA loan. So you have to work around, that sort of language. So there's a whole lot of conversations involved, because anytime I ask anybody to do anything that is considered risky, that is a risk, to waive any sort of contingency or any sort of right. So we, measure everybody's risk tolerance. And I fully explain many, many, many times before anybody does anything like that, what it actually means. So that way, okay, you can make that educated decision. Yes, I will waive the appraisal value, or I will cover a short appraisal. And so that's just, one of the biggies right now with the VA loan is, the appraisals, because the market is, or should I say, the comparables are not keeping up with the market, because by the time something goes under contract, it takes 30 days to close. So you might not have that house across the street that's under contract that went up 100K. It might not be a comp for you, because it might not close until later, or your appraiser might come before that is actually a closed transaction. So we are having a little struggle, as we did last year, and we overcame it last year as well.
Yeah.
Early in the season, short appraisals were happening, but by later in the season, all the comps had caught up. So it sort of righted itself. But yeah, so the VA loan is definitely an awesome product. The rates are lower than conventional. So I would never sway anybody from using the VA loan, because it's just such a great benefit. And you just have to find a way to work within the parameters, let's say.
I think my takeaway is that there's a lot to know about the VA loan, and we're not experts, y'all. Like, we, everyday average mill spouse, service member, that's not our job, right? Unless you're a real estate agent, and then it is your job, or a mortgage lender. So I think the key here is finding someone that can break this down for you, unpack it in a way that makes sense and is highly specific to your situation. I love that you brought up risk tolerance. That's a great conversation to have. Like, what are we willing to do here? What are we willing to stomach? What is this house worth? And then also making sure that you're not like getting your heart set on a forever home when it may not be, or, having all these very real conversations that, they can really determine like your future and like the outcomes. And you've just got to be honest with yourself. Like, realistically, what do I expect to happen here? And then making sure that you have the professionals on your side who can help ensure the best possible outcome. So, Heidi, last question.
Sure.
Could you name me one hidden gem that people don't know about until they've been in Arlington for a few months and then regret not knowing about it from day one?
One hidden gem. We have a lot of parks, I would say, that people just don't know about. A lot of them are hidden. There are some really cool playgrounds that you wouldn't know about unless you lived in the neighborhood. So a lot of dog parks. We have a fantastic dog park in Clarendon that has a water feature, and it's like tricked out dog park.
Oh,
For all
cool.
the dogs to go swimming, and they have these obstacle courses for our little fur babies. So
Awesome.
they've done a really good job. Arlington County, it's the smallest county in the United States. It's a city county, I call it. It's 26 square miles, but it's its own entity. And they have done a really good job recently of kind of capturing a little more green space, and maybe purchasing houses that butt up to a park, houses that maybe are in terrible shape and need to be torn down, and then they'll add to the park, which is great. So we do have, for people that like outdoor hiking and biking and walking, we have all of that. So
It's so cool.
yeah.
Well, I apologize because we just ruined that park for you, because now everyone knows about it. Words out. Okay, Heidi, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. Stay tuned, right? Like, keep an eye on the comments, and if you can answer questions, we'd appreciate that. We'll be in touch. Maybe we'll bring you back again.
Okay, sounds
All right.
perfect.
Thanks, Heidi.